from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on AgDay, could the threat of a government shutdown bring immigration reform to agriculture? Plus, the glitz and glamour of trucks at the Detroit Auto Show, and agribusiness watching for wheat prices to fall.
The cash wheat situation is telling a story.
We'll look at USDA's forecast for dairy prices in 2018 and a warning about detergent pods and the threat of poisoning in kids. It's an Ag for Your Health report.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability.
Good morning, I'm Clint Griffiths. Monday was a federal holiday, so Capitol Hill was shut down to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But even with the day off, lawmakers are still focusing on an upcoming deadline to keep the government afloat and to determine if immigration reform is part of that plan. Congressional lawmakers are trying to write legislation to give the so-called Dreamers legal status as part of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, otherwise known as DACA. The Obama-era program protects about 800,000 young people from deportation. Some lawmakers are trying to craft a new bill that would link DACA with a federal spending bill to keep the government operational. Temporary government funding expires at midnight Friday. Some government functions will begin shutting down unless lawmakers reach an agreement on future funding. Betsy Gibbon has more on this government holdup.
Clinton, some Democratic lawmakers indicate they will shut the government down unless something is done to DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which provides temporary legal status and work authorization to illegal immigrants who were minors when brought here by their parents. Meanwhile, Republicans writing their own DACA bill they hope will advance through Congress.
Growers in the West live the labor shortage challenges every day. Finding enough help has been a problem for decades.
In 35, 40 years of being in business, I've had less than 5 U.S. citizens apply.
Uncertainty on the farm and uncertainty on the Hill. Republicans now introducing their version of a DACA bill called Securing America's Future Act. They hope will be a good compromise. The bill will reduce immigration levels by about 260,000 a year, a decrease of 25%, and it could eliminate the visa lottery program. Yet the bill also promises a workable ag guest worker program and will increase visas for skilled workers, such as ag labor. All employees will be required to use the federal E-Verify system. For DACA recipients, the measure would provide temporary legal status with a renewal every 3 years. Paul Ryan assuring late last week that there will not be a government shutdown, and he hopes for a DACA compromise.
We want to fix DACA. We do want to fix DACA. B, we want to fix it while addressing the root cause problems so that we don't have a DACA problem again. I mean, that's kind of common sense. That means the security measures that need to accompany any DACA solution are necessary so that we have a final fix and not a temporary fix.
Some in the produce industry say that's the thing standing in their way as they're striving for immigration reform, be it a pathway to legalization or citizenship.
The truth is, they're right. We don't want people here who are illegal. And we don't want people here working for us that are illegal. We want a legal, stable workforce. It doesn't seem something too difficult to accomplish. But allow them to do it with legal status so they don't have to hide, they don't have to have that fear every day that they're going to be deported or separated from their families.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment is down 4.1%, the lowest in 17 years. And some say the labor shortage is becoming tighter.
The economy's turning around, jobless numbers are going down, construction's returning. So a lot of your unskilled laborers that we're used to are now returning to construction jobs, which are paying double or triple on a per hour basis.
Dairies are considered full-time work and cannot access the H-2A program.
So everybody heads to greener pastures, and right now that's construction jobs. So it's hard to find anybody that will show up even to interview for a job, let alone want to take it.
Producers say they run into that problem before they can even look at documents to see the legal status of foreign workers.
So many people that have come to us other than through the H-2A system will come to us and under federal law have to present documents that appear legal on their face. And we're not allowed to question them about the authenticity of the document if it appears illegal on its face.
The bill also authorizes President Trump's wall and hires 5,000 Border Patrol agents and 5,000 CBP officers.
As NAFTA renegotiations get set to resume, President Donald Trump is now suggesting the deadline for altering that trade agreement might need to be extended. Trump telling the Wall Street Journal last week that a lot of things are hard to negotiate as the Mexican presidential election is coming up in July. Now, Reuters reports says Canada is agreeable to that idea. Canadian Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland saying, "I think that was a sensible suggestion from the president. I think all of us are mindful of the Mexican election." Talks are scheduled to conclude by the end of March. Speaking of trade, the USDA's finalized a rule that allows all Mexican states to export pork into the United States. APHIS says its assessment finds that the risk of classical swine fever in imports is negligible. A review by the World Organization for Animal Health also determining that Mexico was free of the disease. The National Pork Producers Council says it supports that decision. Mexico is the #2 export market for U.S. pork, which in November last year shipped 1.4 billion pounds to that country. Mike Hoffman joining us now with some updates from around the country. Today's crop comments. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. Our first crop comment comes from Matt Nelson. He says the cows are enjoying a snowy day on the corn stalks in Burke County, Nebraska. The winter weather has been disappointing, though, with temperatures in the single digits. Moving over to east central Illinois, Ron Hass says his dog Duke is now king of the mountain after an avalanche of snow fell off the roof. He hopes the snow will continue to melt. And taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see very windy to start the day in central and southern Texas. That kind of moves southward. Not a lot of wind across most of the lower 48 later on today. And then as we head into the day tomorrow, we'll see a little more wind starting to develop up across the Canadian border, a little bit in the southeast as well. And that intensifies in northern sections, especially from the Great Lakes to North Dakota as we head through the afternoon. We'll take a look at your forecast coming up, but first here are some hometown temps.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
When we come back, we'll take a closer look at wheat markets and the outlook for that industry, and later, a look at the 2018 price projections for milk from USDA and those laundry detergent packets. They may be convenient for adults, but there's still a growing threat to children. The result of a troubling new study on laundry detergent packets later on Ag in the Country. Business news, the 2018 North American Auto Show is open in Detroit, and full-size pickup trucks are taking center stage. Automakers are trying to show whose pickup can haul more stuff but still do it with lighter, more efficient trucks. Fiat Chrysler rolled out a new Ram truck. Meanwhile, GM unveiled its 2019 Silverado, which weighs 450 pounds less than the current models. It was a glitzy unveiling at the Motor City.
Customers depend on their truck for more than just transportation. They truly need their truck. They rely on it to make a living and do what they enjoy most when they're not working. That's why the Chevrolet Silverado is, without doubt, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickup on the road.
The new Silverado, which goes on sale this fall, slims down by melding different metals. Parts that swing, including doors, the hood, and tailgate, are lighter aluminum, but stationary parts such as the bed are still steel. Silverado is the second best-selling vehicle in the U.S., outsold by Ford's F-Series pickups. Now, big pickup truck sales rose nearly 6% last year, while U.S. auto sales dropped 2%. Kevin Dooling, Katie Investors, our guest here at the Agribusiness Desk today. Kevin, let's talk about the wheat market because, we looked at last year. Obviously, we had that kind of wild spring with some dryness. And we saw a pretty good run up in at least the northern plains wheat and spring wheat side of things. Now it's dry in winter wheat country and acres are down. Or lower, still lower.
Yeah, the wheat market is different. I mean, it's different than the row crops by many different degrees. And what some things that really jump off the page is the cash wheat situation is telling a story. We're seeing basis levels we haven't seen in years, especially for the high protein wheats. Okay. Secondly, the amount of wheat in farmer hands is minimal. So that is a big deal. So if we do get something going, you're not going to have that pressure. We still have the Russian pressure, and some things that kind of snuck through last week. They dropped the Australian crop by 5 million metric tons from the Bureau of Statistics. And if you roll that forward, there's going to be, that wheat has to get sourced to fill the demand this year. And I think we'll see much improved exports in the next 6 months, more of a backloaded marketing year. This market has all the signs of doing something good. I know that the report, last week was not exceptional. I mean, it was bearish perceived, but again, the cash markets are going to tell a story down the road.
So you think there's still opportunity here as we go into 2018 that we could see wheat maybe catch a little bit of spark, and a lot of it based off of exports?
Exports, and then also just the way USDA, uses their information. When they come out in May with their first look, they always have a high-end production and low-end demand, and then as the year goes, they adjust. And this, in 2016, it was 4% demand growth from their initial estimate in May to their ending one in April. So it's very important to understand that. What happened is, what we saw that big spike in June last year, you're going to see something similar this year. And whether it gets sold off again like last year or it continues is going to depend on, crop conditions around the world. But the exporter stocks are tighter. And, like I say, this market's certainly one to keep your eye on.
All right. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on it. Thank you for helping us. We'll be back with more AgDay in just a minute.
For a free 2-month sample of Kevin's market analysis, or if you have a question of any kind, call 541-980-4554 or email kdinvestors@gmail.com. AgDay, brought to you by new Delaro fungicide for corn and soybeans. Achieve personal best yields.
Welcome back to AgDay. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman looking at the map here, and it looks like there's going to be some snow across southern parts of the country.
South central Texas getting some snow, sleet, freezing rain in places this morning. That snow stretches up into the Tennessee Valley. Of course, farther north are places that typically get snow, like the Great Lakes. Eastern section's getting it with the system. Western section's getting it with lake effect, which has been pretty common this time of the year. Very cold air then across the center of the country for now. Next cold front coming into the Pacific Northwest with some rain and mountain snows out that way. Heading through the next 24 hours, you can see that system out west comes in. Another one coming in as well right behind that. The eastern section, though, this is actually once again showing snow all the way to the Gulf Coast in Louisiana by later on today. Pretty impressive, especially for late afternoon. And then as you can see farther north, just a strip of snow from parts of Mississippi and Alabama all the way to Maine. And heading through tonight, that will all continue to push eastward. That means the panhandle of Florida gets into some of the white stuff. I'm sure it's not going to be a big accumulation or anything, but nonetheless, just the fact that there are flakes falling there. Most of the rest of the country on the dry side, that next system really dries out coming across the Rockies. Impressive system behind it, though, coming in as we head through the day tomorrow. Starting off in the Pacific Northwest with some rain. Eastern system then moving offshore. Still a little bit of snow later on in the day in eastern portions of North Carolina, which is kind of impressive as well, all the way to the Atlantic seaboard, and still some pretty good snows in Maine. Taking a look at precipitation estimate past 24 hours from Texas all the way into the eastern Great Lakes, adding in the next 36 hours. You can see nothing is real heavy here, but nonetheless, we are going to put down some 1/10 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch in places. Some spots getting a little bit more in the Pacific Northwest, Northern California as well. Snowfall then from northeast Texas all the way to the eastern Great Lakes, throughout the Great Lakes over the past 24 hours, adding in the next 36. You can see how we'll put down some decent amounts by the time we get into the eastern foothills of Pennsylvania all the way up into central New England. These are all light amounts down south, but still unusual for this time of the year, all because of the cold. High temperatures today, 31 this afternoon in San Antonio. Teens and single digits farther north across most of the central and northern plain states. Low temperatures tonight going to be kind of the same idea. Lots of single digits there. And then as we head through the day tomorrow, we'll begin to try to warm things up, but it's still pretty chilly everywhere east of the Rockies. Here's the jet stream, all because of the trough there. You can see that does move away. Another little piece of a trough kind of moves through Friday into Saturday. Then we go to a ridge in the east, a little trough moving through the country, but this is still a warmer pattern than we're in right now, even for the east. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. For Butte, Montana today, lots of sunshine and chilly, high of 33 degrees. Waco, Texas, very cold. Bit of snow in the morning, high of 31. And LaPorte, Indiana, cold with some heavy lake effect snow showers around, high temperature in the afternoon of 23.
When we come back, we'll look at the latest price projections for U.S. dairy farmers, plus danger lurking inside your laundry room. The risk is not only to toddlers, but teens. Hear about the risk to your family later on AgDay. In news from our reporting partners at Farm Journal's Milk, the latest USDA Wazoo report, lowering production estimates for 2018. The drop based on slower anticipated growth in the dairy herd, coupled with slower growth in the milk per cow category. In addition, exports were increased thanks to solid global demand for U.S. butter and other dairy products. Now on the price side, USDA forecasting the all milk price between $15.80 and $16.60 per hundred for the year. Prices were reduced due to slowing domestic demand and more global competition. Round one of Farm Bill battles could be settled as soon as this month if the Senate agrees on a fix for cotton and dairy in the $81 billion disaster aid bill already passed by the House. Not only would it settle one of the most contentious negotiations of a new farm bill, it also increases baseline funding available for the new 5-year bill. Now that's according to pro-farmer Washington policy analyst Jim Wiesmeyer. He says that would make finishing a farm bill easier, but not easy. The aid package contains a provision that removes the $21 million cap on the livestock gross margin program for dairy. And did 2017 live up to expectations? Well, according to the Milk Intelligence Survey, the answer is no. The survey projected average prices to be $17.81 per hundred in 2017, and while prices were less, looking ahead into the new year, the majority of producers surveyed do not anticipate growing their herds this year. 46% say they will stay the same size. In addition, very few anticipate installing new technologies on the farm. Up next, hear about a dangerous fad involving, of all things, laundry detergent. Details next in Ag for Your Health.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit Kubota.com today.
Health professionals are warning parents about a new dangerous craze involving those laundry packets or pods. Teens are purposely eating them and posting their antics on social media. In this report from Nationwide Children's Hospital, Clark Powell says it's a very dangerous fad that could land kids in the hospital.
Soon after being introduced in the U.S. market, thousands of serious incidents involving children and laundry detergent packets forced manufacturers to make changes. They replaced clear containers with opaque ones and made them harder for children to open. But a new study shows during 2013 and 14, there were more than 22,000 incidents in children younger than 6, an increase of 17%.
These children have come in coma. They've stopped breathing. We've even had 2 deaths in the last 2 years due to exposure to laundry detergent packets.
Dr. Gary Smith of Nationwide Children's Hospital led the study. He looked at several types of detergents, both packets and traditional forms. When children bite down on packets, they burst, shooting a toxic mix into a child's throat. They were associated with more serious medical outcomes, more hospitalizations, and more breathing failure than other types of detergents, as well as 2 child deaths.
Those concentrated chemicals can cause serious burns. If it gets down the lung, it can cause severe damage. It also, when it's absorbed, can cause effects on the brain.
Experts say parents of young children should avoid using laundry detergent packets altogether, but if they do use them, store them high, out of sight, and out of reach in a locked cabinet.
Some of the manufacturers have actually moved to make the detergent containers less accessible to children. But what we found was, in fact, the number of exposures have continued to increase.
At Nationwide Children's Hospital, this is Clark Powell reporting.
Now, on average, there's a call to a poison control center about every 45 minutes due to children getting into laundry detergent packages, and a child a day is hospitalized because of it. Well, that's all the time we have this morning. I'm sure glad you tuned in. Spend part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.
AgDay, brought to you by Ram Commercial, America's longest lasting heavy-duty pickups.